You guys, get in here and shut the door. Gene Hackman's daughter has broken her silence in an exclusive paid interview to the Daily Mail.
Welcome to another deep dive. This time we're going to try to unravel the whole mystery surrounding the death of Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy.
Ooh, this is a good one.
Yeah, so we've got a couple sources here, both from the Daily Mail. One's an interview with Hackman's daughter, Leslie.
Okay.
And then the other one is with his nephew, Tim.
Right.
And their words are, they kind of paint a weird picture, I guess.
Well, the thing that jumps out at me right away is the fact that we're dealing with a situation where officially the cause of death is still pending.
Right.
But we have family members already sort of offering explanations.
Good.
And then the details surrounding the deaths, they're a little strange.
Yeah, so picture this. Gene Hackman, 95 years old, and Betsy found dead in separate rooms of their Santa Fe home.
Mm-hmm.
Authorities estimated they had been there for at least a day before being discovered, and both bodies showed signs of decompensation.
Signs of what?
Decompensation.
What is that?
Basically means a general decline in health leading up to death.
Oh, okay.
So, it doesn't really pinpoint a specific cause.
Oh, so it doesn't tell us much.
Right.
Oh, okay.
But here's something else. One of their 3 dogs was also found dead inside the house.
Oh, wow.
So 2 of them survived. But that 3rd dog, that adds a whole other layer here.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if there was some sort of environmental factor, something that could have affected both the humans and the animal.
Exactly. And so let's bring in Leslie's perspective here.
Okay.
She's adamant that it was carbon monoxide poisoning.
Okay.
But get this, the authorities have not found any evidence to support that claim yet.
So she's just kind of putting that out there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And also, she hasn't even been to the homes since the deaths.
Oh, wow.
Hasn't spoken to her father in months and says she won't go to Santa Fe until the investigation is complete.
That's so strange.
Right. It's why is she so convinced?
Yeah, what's driving that certainty?
Right.
Do you think she would want to, be more involved?
You would think.
Go there herself, maybe gather more information before jumping to conclusions.
Right.
But she's like, nope, it's carbon monoxide. That's it.
Carbon monoxide. That's all I'm saying.
That's interesting.
Okay, so then we've got Tim Hackman, the nephew.
Okay.
He says he actually learned about the deaths from Leslie.
Oh, so she was the point person.
Right.
Okay.
He also paints this picture of a really wonderful marriage between Gene and Betsy.
Okay.
And mentions that the family had always expected Gene to pass away first because of their 31-year age gap.
Yeah, well, that is a pretty significant age difference.
Right. You would assume that the younger spouse would outlive the older one.
Yeah, for sure.
And so Tim says that they assumed Betsy would be handling the funeral arrangements.
Oh, wow.
So the fact that they both died so unexpectedly, it really kind of throws a wrench in things.
Wow. It's wild how we're getting, these 2 accounts from family members, and they're offering such different perspectives. I mean, we've got Leslie, who's totally convinced about the cause of death, but she's not even there.
Right.
And then you have Tim talking about the relationship and what it means practically,
Yeah.
For them, now that they're gone, it really makes you wonder what the full picture is here.
It really does. And there's this one little piece that I can't get past.
Oh, what's that?
So Tim mentions that the family was prepared for Gene to die first.
Right.
Makes you wonder if there were some family dynamics, maybe unspoken tensions.
Yeah, about inheritance or caregiving.
Especially with Leslie seeming to be that main point of contact, like Tim said. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that's something that we see often, when you're looking at cases like this.
Yeah.
That the story that's being presented doesn't always show you the full complexity of how families really work.
And we can't forget about that dog.
Oh, right.
I mean, if the authorities end up finding evidence of carbon monoxide, that dog's death becomes really important, because then that would back up what Leslie's saying.
Yeah, it would totally corroborate it.
Right. But if it ends up being something else, something that could affect humans and animals too.
Oh.
Well, then that opens up a whole other can of worms.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like we're putting together one of those puzzles,
Yeah.
But some of the pieces are missing and then some just don't seem to fit.
Right.
Leslie's saying it's carbon monoxide. Tim talking about how close they all were.
Yeah.
But then you get this feeling like there's something else going on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it makes you think, what does close family even mean?
Right.
Is it talking all the time or living near each other, or is it something more than that? When Tim said this family was ready for Gene to pass, you know?
Right.
It almost sounded like they were already detached.
Yeah.
Like they weren't really thinking about it too much.
And if that's true, shouldn't they be more involved now? I mean, Leslie's not even going to Santa Fe until everything's done, and we haven't heard from the other kids.
Yeah, that's not really what you picture when you think of a family grieving.
Yeah, and it brings us back to that whole narrative thing.
Right.
Like, each person in the family might have their own story about what happened,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all based on their own experiences. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We only have Leslie and Tim's side of things,
Right.
so we're only getting a little piece of the whole family.
That's true. Who knows what the other kids would say?
Right, or maybe even friends of Jean and Betsy.
Yeah, but they probably have a completely different story.
Exactly, and sometimes the things people don't say are just as important as the things they do say.
Yeah, definitely the stuff that's hidden can tell you a lot.
You know, it's almost like Gene Hackman, the actor, is playing one last role. He's this mysterious guy who leaves behind all these questions. So even though he's gone, he's still got us hooked. But this time we have to figure out the story ourselves.
And that's why we're doing this deep dive, right? Yeah.
We're not just looking at how someone died.
Right.
We're trying to understand how families work and how people tell their stories.
Yeah. And it's fascinating how even someone famous can have so much mystery surrounding them.
Totally.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got these stories that don't match up, that weird thing with the dog and this feeling that there's more going on than we know.
Right?
So what does this all mean for us?
Good question.
Like, we're trying to make sense of it all, but it's tough. Makes you think about the stories we tell ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
About our families, about the people we think we know.
Right.
We take little pieces of information and make up the rest.
Oh, yeah, totally. We fill in the blanks with, like, our assumptions and stuff.
Right, and those assumptions, they can be really powerful.
Oh, they totally are.
It's like they shape how we see the world, how we see our relationships.
Right. Even how we see ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And so how often do we really stop and question those stories that we've built up about the people in our lives?
That's a good question. It's easy to believe the simple story, especially when it comes to family.
Yeah.
We want to think that everyone's close and happy even when things start to fall apart.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's those little cracks, you know, those things that don't quite make sense that actually show us the truth.
That's where the real deep dive starts, right?
Yeah.
When you go deeper than just the surface and start to see the complicated stuff, the tension, the reasons why people do things.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Like that.
Every layer shows you something new, something you didn't expect.
Yeah.
Something that makes you question what you thought before. And the story just gets more interesting.
More real, you know.
Yeah.
So in this case with Gene Hackman, his death reminds us that even though we have so much information out there, the truth can be hard to find.
We might never know for sure how he died or what was really going on with the family or why Leslie's so sure about the carbon monoxide thing.
Right.
But maybe that's okay.
Maybe
it's not about getting all the answers.
Right. Maybe it's about accepting that we don't know everything.
Yeah.
That things are messy and complicated, and that's just part of being human.
I think the biggest thing we can learn from this deep dive is that we should always question things. You know, be open to different points of view. And remember that there's always more to the story than what we see at first.
Absolutely.
You know, Gene Hackman, the actor, he was all about playing these complex characters, right?
Right.
The good guy, the bad guy, all mixed up. And he showed us how complicated people can be.
Yeah.
And now, even though he's gone, he's given us this one last performance, you know, that makes us think and explore and accept the mystery of it all.
Seems fitting for a guy like him.
Yeah, so next time you hear a story that seems simple, remember Gene Hackman's last act? Remember that there might be more to this story than you think.
Yeah.
There might be secrets and hidden truths, and trying to understand them can be just as important as finding the answer.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another one.